Hi, all, and welcome to phase 2 of our Trailblazer Targets work. So, by this point, your team should have finalized your list of targets for reading, math, and science, or if you're using the drafts that were provided, that's fine too. And you should have written I can statements for at least the targets in your current unit for one subject. Most grade levels are focusing on either reading or math to start this work, and that is totally fine. As we're doing this, I want to remind you that it's not something that is new or extra. We already use the backwards design process in our planning. As a team, you guys unpack all the TEKs when you plan a unit. You plan assessments based on those TEKs, and then you reteach based on your assessment data. What we're moving toward is just doing this in a more focused and streamlined way, where we would unpack the Trailblazer targets for each unit, one or two standards rather than all of them, and write I can statements so that the teachers and the students have a very clear understanding of what mastery looks like for the unit. Based on that, your team would plan frequent common formative assessments that were based on those I can statements. And that allows you to adjust your instruction and reteach based on daily data rather than waiting until the end of a unit. So this is not new or extra. It's just a different way of framing the work that we already do. When we talk about common formative assessments, we are evaluating learning that is under construction, and we're doing this on a daily basis in all of our classrooms. These types of assessments inform our teaching by showing us what students already know and what they still need to learn. And so in phase 2 of our Trailblazer Targets work, teams will use I can statements to plan common formative assessments. Why would we do this? Well, because it promotes equity for students. If all students are assessed with the same tools, then instruction across grade levels will naturally be more aligned. It gives the teacher the information that they need for on the spot intervention. You can respond to student misconceptions in real time rather than having them practice those misconceptions. And it drives your instruction. It allows you to adjust your daily instruction rather than waiting until the end of the unit to know what students need to be retaught. And it's just best practice. We do what's best for kids, and formative assessments is what's best for kids. So, what can that look like? Most typically, formative assessments are entry and exit tickets. You might ask kids to solve a problem or draw a model or respond to a prompt. They might explain how to teach a concept to a friend. They might do an example or a non example or sort some information. You might use technology in the form of a Padlet or a Kahoot or a Flipgrid. It can look a lot of different ways, but the most important thing is that it's a short, focused assignment that tells you what students can do. What it is not is a test that covers a variety of skills, like a unit test or a DCA or a pretest that you might give for an entire unit. And it's not something extra. The work that you already assign your students can be used as formative assessment. Your teamwork for October 13th will be to plan a common formative assessment based on one or more of the I can statements for a unit you are currently teaching or an upcoming unit. Miss Lightfoot and I worked together recently to plan a third grade common formative assessment, and I'm going to show you what that looked like.
All right, so our goal today is to create a formative assessment for the first couple of days. Yes. For the multiplication unit. And so remind me again what the target for that unit is.
We're going to do 3.4E that's represent multiplication facts by using a variety of approaches, such as repeated addition, equal size groups, arrays, area models, equal jumps on the number line, and skip count. So it's a lot.
Yes. We're not teaching all that in one day, right?
Right. No, no. Oh, no.
Good. Okay, so what do you think? So we're going to do this assessment after like maybe 2 days of instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you think are reasonable I can statements for students to show mastery after 2 days?
I think with all those different approaches, I think the top two that we probably want to start with would probably be the repeated addition and equal groups. So the I can statements that we can start with is I can connect representations with repeated addition, and I can connect representations with equal groups.
I really like how y'all phrased your I can statements about connecting representations, because that's what we want them to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want them to know those things are equal. And I was thinking about an activity that we all use where we have the cards that have the equal groups, like this 3 groups of 4,
mm-hmm.
and then they would actually connect that to another card that said like 4 plus 4 plus 4. And so what if we created something where they actually had choices and they could match the different representations?
Yes, I like that. And then I want to kind of go back and look at the T2, because then we can match up the representations in the equal groups and the repeated addition, but also have them be able to represent those equal groups or representations too. Because in the TK it says represent multiplication facts by using a variety of approaches. So maybe given a couple of questions that allow them to represent as well.
Oh, so like only give them the picture and they would write the equation?
Yes.
I love that. So like one of each, do you think?
I think that would be good. Just the first one to kind of see if they got it before we start introducing more.
So one pick and they would write the equation, and then one, I guess, equation. I'm just making it so I'll remember to do this. Okay, so the ones that we want to give them to match, I think this is a good one. 3 times 4,
mm-hmm.
I think is a good one.
And I think another one with maybe 3, so like we can see if they're able to know the number of each group and the number of groups. So like,
so like, if this is 3 groups of 4, do you also 4 groups
of 3?
Of 3. 4 groups of 3. Should we leave this as an expression, or should we have them actually solve it and figure out that like both of these are 12?
I think once we have them match them, so then that way they can have an answer when they solve it, when they match it together, so then that way they can, when they check the equal groups, they can be like, oh, this is also 12, and the number system is 12.
So when it's laid out, we probably want them to match. Do we also want them to match like a number card to it? Or do we want to just leave that blank and have them write in?
I think writing it in would be better, because like even for this example, it has 12. This answer is 12, so we will have, I guess either way wouldn't having them actually write it out, so they're represented and connected to that.
Okay, so I don't know, like 3 of these maybe?
Yeah, I think 3 of those, so and then maybe an extra one, just to kind of make sure that they're not just matching the leftovers. Like once they have these 2 matches, and maybe have an extra one.
So, okay, so what would the third one be? We've got 3 groups of 4 and 4 groups of 3. Like something with 3 or 4, but not the same.
4 times 8.
Okay, 4 groups of 8.
4 groups of 8.
Can I do the picture with the number inside like that instead of all the dots?
Mm-hmm.
To show like that we're unitizing this?
And we also talk about efficiency too.
8 plus 8, and then they'll write that in.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we would also give them one other picture and one other equation that wouldn't match. might give them like let's give them one where they have to practice counting by fives. Like maybe even 5 plus 5 plus 5.
Right, with that three. So then three groups of five.
And then we need one picture where they will write, we need one picture where they will write the equation. So,
So maybe
4 times 6.
sure. 4 groups of 6.
I don't do dots for that one. Okay, so then what format do we want to present this in? Like, do we want to actually give them cards where they would manipulate the cards on the desk? Do we want to do it electronically?
I think electronically will be best. So then that way the in-person teachers can still be able to do it and be able to give students the feedback, and it'll accommodate for the virtual students that are online at home. So I think maybe putting something in school that you where some of these could be matched when they have to match them up, and then have the open-ended ones where they have to write the representation.
Oh, that's really smart. Maybe like on a slideshow where the first slide is this, and they would be scrambled, and so they would like draw the lines to match them, and then they would type in
Answer, yep, that
the
could work.
answer. Okay, and then it would probably have to be on 2 slides because that's going to take up.
We don't want to overload it.
And then the next slide would be, it would be the same format where we're showing them the vocabulary we want to use as model and equation, right? So we would be showing them either the model or the equation, and then there would be a blank card that they would fill in.
Yes.
On the second page. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I can create that assessment, and you are working on the unit plans already.
Yes.
And so that's it for today, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That feels good. It's like I'm excited.
And so, what is next for your team? Think about how your team already uses formative assessments. Make sure that your team has completed the I can statements for at least one standard so that you're ready for our work on Tuesday. And if you want to know more about formative assessments, there are some links at the end of this presentation with articles and videos to give you some more information. So I am excited about our work together on Tuesday, and I will see you then.